Welcome back to Reveurovision. This time around, we are going to be reviewing Russia's entry. It's a song called Russian Woman. So is this Russian woman as complex and interesting as a Russian doll, or is it just a dead outer shell that's completely hollow on the inside? Let's review Eurovision. So, before we get on to reviewing their entry for 2021, let's look back at Russia's history in the contest. They've done pretty well, certainly in the past 10 years. They won back in 2008 with a song called Believe by Dima Bilan. You're an Olympic Winter Olympian sort of faffing around on an ice rink in the middle of the arena. It was an interesting one, but everybody thought it was Russia's time to win that one. So whether it deserved to win is another question. But they put a lot of effort into the past 10 years, finishing in the top 3 quite often. And that started, the good run started back in 2012 with the Russian Grannies. Nowadays, that would have been everywhere on social media, but it was quite entertaining. The Russian Grannies, it was good. But then since then, they've had years that they've been booed after the anti-gay propaganda movement that they had over the invasion of Crimea as well. They had a few years where they weren't that popular, but 2015 they came second. And then in recent years, they've been represented twice by Sergei Lazarev, finishing third both times. This year, though, it's a little bit of a last-minute arrangement. They've chosen a song called Russian Woman by Manizha. She's come in for a lot of controversy and criticism in Russia over the past few weeks because she was born in Tajikistan, but is now a Tajik-Russian citizen. So she's not very well liked in Russia, but let's take a look at her song. So, what did we think about Russia? Emily, you go first.
So, I was nervous to hear this when I discovered that Little Big wouldn't be representing Russia this year, because Little Big were obviously meant to represent them last year. And their kind of video went viral. They were well known throughout kind of the rest of the world, and it just seemed as though it was logical for them to come back and represent Russia again. But in the run-up to the selection process, it was kind of announced that there'd be a national selection, a vote, kind of a public vote, which was quite unusual for Russia because they do tend to these kind of selections for their entries are very behind the scenes. So it was quite interesting that they had a national selection, and it was announced that that Little Big would not be representing Russia at Eurovision this year. So I was very sad. But I really love this song, which I know it's kind of quite controversial in Russia because it does seem to be kind of like a weird kind of like semi-nationalist but semi kind of feminist like anthem about being kind of like a powerful Russian woman. And I think it's quite interesting that there's actually a lot of the lyrics are in Russian, which kind of makes a change to perhaps their usual entries. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's got a good strong message. I think it has the potential for the staging to be quite interesting. The Spotify version I'm not as keen on as the live performance. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting entry. It's completely different to kind of anything that they've put up over the last kind of decade. Other songs have been kind of fairly hyper Western pop songs, and this marks a real difference. And I think, yeah, it's really interesting.
Very positive there from Emily. What about you, James?
I mean, I'm sort of sticking with the positive theme really because I really liked it too. I think it's really good. I mean, I've always liked Russia's entries. I think they're really good. I mean, especially like You're the Only One. That's probably one of my favorites actually for quite a while. And I think it's got a good beat to it and quite a good feel as well. I mean, it's quite upbeat, I think. And it's similar in a way to sort of Azerbaijan's entry, I think, because they got Mata Hari, and I really like that, and I think that's quite good because I like the sort of the singing and the Russian and the Russian feel to it. I quite like as well. I just think it's really catchy. I really, really do like it, and I think it could be a good crowd pleaser as well, really. So it could do quite well.
Well, I hate to be the lead balloon to this, but I don't get it. I feel like the message it's mostly in Russian. There are 2 or 3 lines in English. So I don't speak Russian, so I do know from the English what it's about. I haven't read the translated lyrics for the whole song, so maybe it is a lot more groundbreaking than I anticipate. But I think even though the message is nice, I think it's quite messy, and it almost doesn't quite know what it is. It sort of starts in one way, then it shifts to a different way, and whereas some songs do that very well, I think Iceland their song last year, Think About Things.
I can't wait to know. What do you think about this?
That was all over the place, and at first I didn't like that at all because I thought it was messy. But after a few listens, I got it, and I think it probably would have done very, very well. But I have listened to this enough to finally sort of firm up my opinion. I do think it's messy rather than it's like chaotic messy rather than fun messy. And I think maybe because I read that the national selection and the staging and everything was pulled together in about 2 days. So it was a very, very quick turnaround. And I think that shows. I think there was nothing remarkable about it whatsoever. I do feel bad that she's coming for quite a lot of criticism, but we're not here to judge the person, we're judging the song. And I don't think the song is up to snuff, really. I'm slightly disappointed by Russia this year. And I would have liked, as Emily said, I would have liked to see Little Big back because I hated their song last year. Then it grew on me and now I love it. So I would have been nice to see them back. So we'll go around quickly. Russia is performing 3rd in the first semi-final. They're going after Slovenia and before Sweden. You can also check out those videos when they're uploaded. What do we think then? Do we think it'll qualify for Russia? Russia has, bar 1 year, a perfect qualification record, by the way. So they're normally pretty dead cert. But will it happen this year? And where does it sit in your rankings? Emily, you first.
Yeah, I think there's probably no doubt that it'll qualify. Russia has quite it has a good bubble of support at Eurovision from kind of its former Soviet constituencies, republics. So I think there's no doubt it'll qualify. And because, like I said, I was such a fan of it, I've actually ranked it 7th, so just below the UK. And if you want to check out that video, you can do. So yeah, I've ranked it 7th. I think it'll have no problem qualifying. In terms of how it actually does, I think the jury could be quite a problem for them because it is quite controversial. So if the jury can kind of get on board with that, I think it'll do really well. If not, yeah, I'm slightly concerned as to how well it'll do, but yeah.
And James, do you echo the positivity about how it'll qualify?
Yeah, I think I very much do. I mean, Emily sort of summed it up really. I mean, I completely agree. And I think it should sail through really quite easily. And I think it'll do quite well too. Again, there's the political side of it, which I think, may cause some issues for them. But nevertheless, I think it's a good song. I think public will get behind it. And I think they'll enjoy it as well on the night. I've ranked it 13th place, unlucky for some, lucky for others. So, either way, it could go in either direction. And I think it stands a good chance. I think it could do quite well.
Well, again, I'm the one on a downer here. I think, as I mentioned in the Slovenian video, it is a ridiculously tough first semi-final. I think if it was in the second semi-final, it would have gone through. I think this is really going to be on the bubble. And I think it'll either squeak through in 9th or 10th, or it'll just sit out or 11th and 12th. I think depending on, as Emily's just said, there are some former Soviet countries in there. There's Ukraine. They occasionally, despite the political differences, they do occasionally vote for them. So there's that. There's Azerbaijan in the semi-final as well. Malta as well occasionally vote for Russia. So there are some countries that do normally vote for it. I think it would have gone through if Belarus was still in the semi-final. If you're not up to date with that, Belarus sent a song that was deemed too political. They were asked to enter a different one. The replacement was also judged political, so Belarus were basically disqualified. If Belarus were in this semi-final, I think Russia probably would have gone through. I think it might struggle. it'll be interesting to see if they keep up their relatively strong qualification record. I have put it down as my number 31. It's quite a bit lower than you two, but I don't really get it. I don't think many people will get it. If you're not in Eastern Europe, I don't think it'll really attract that many votes. So it's going to be my number 31, unfortunately. That means that 31 plus 7 plus 13, our total score for Russia is 51, which is pretty in the middle. It's not that bad going, really, for in the list of all 39. So, yeah, I think your positivity is worn off on Russia.
I feel like, Jack, this is the equivalent to my Lithuania for you.
Definitely, because you sunk Lithuania so hard, you've killed its chances of doing well in this ranking. But to be fair, we'll all do that to each other at some point, and I've done it to Russia. So swings and roundabouts, I guess. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and if you do subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified every time we release content. This is also going out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere, just in case you're on the move and want to listen to it. So again, we really hope you enjoyed this video. Keep up to date every day with our content, and see you next time.